It is morning, ladies and gents, and it's coffee time. I have to get my caffeine intake as I'm starting this video. A short video for you guys. Before we get any further, I want to say one thing. I hope Josh Cahill gets unbanned. I had some comments on my recent video, so I'm just making things clear, right? Now, before we start, what is this video about? Well, recently, Josh Cahill, a flight YouTuber, has been banned by Qatar Airways in the light of a kind of a bad-ish review that he made on his channel. He makes reviews about airlines. I watched his channel before, thoroughly entertaining. He flies some planes and some airlines that I never even heard about, so that's pretty cool. He does make a lot of criticism at times towards respective airlines, especially when it comes to safety and other things. He's a very good observer on board on those flights. For example, he sees when cabin crew, they don't stress the use of a seat belt as cabin is getting secure for takeoff and landing. So those kind of things, he observes them along with the service on that aircraft, how clean the lavatories are, and so on and so forth. So many good things, many great things actually that the flight reviewer should highlight. Not only the food on board, not only the way the cabin looks like, but more in depth. And this is what he does on his YouTube channel. So a great flight reviewer, I believe he is, and very entertaining as well. A great YouTube channel, right? He made the flight review about a Qatar Airways flight that he had. I believe it was Colombo, on a Colombo trip, Sri Lanka, if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, the aircraft was an older Airbus A330, which, you know, is one of the older aircraft in the fleet of the airline. And it wasn't the best experience on board, taking into account that Qatar is one of the higher rated airlines in the world. Gimmicks in the service was not so good, and so on and so forth, and the lavatory situation as well. And I watched his video. I think it was an accurate video, a critical video. And criticism, I think it should be embraced. Criticism, it leads to improvement, right? Always when someone or something like a company is criticized, it should lead to a better improvement overall in the services that the company provides. So I think criticism is good. Now, the problem is, after Josh released that flight review about Qatar, he got banned from the airline. And I think that's not a pretty good move. It's quite a bad marketing move as well. You know, getting banned from the airline after a bad flight review just reflects backwards on the company, right? It doesn't really reflect good at all. I think actually the best course would be to have a conversation. For example, I think something really cool would be if Josh Cahill has like a podcast with Qatar or the Qatar CEO or something like that. That'll be really cool and entertaining to watch. And especially because Qatar has a new CEO, and this new CEO seems pretty promising. And that's what I talked about in my recent YouTube video. I talked about the improvements that Qatar Airways already put in place for the cabin crew community. Now, guys, if you follow me on this channel, you know this is what I generally talk about, the cabin crew community. I talk about flying, I talk about my experiences on board, I talk about my life as a cabin crew, generally speaking. So I'm all for the cabin crew community. I think it should be improved always, and I think we do work hard, generally speaking, and we deserve more. The cabin crew being made redundant in light of a flight review is also not a good thing at all. Like, I feel really sad for the cabin crew on that flight review if the rumors are true. I work on a different airline, not Qatar, obviously, but even so, I think every airline should improve when it comes to its cabin crew community and making them a safe space, a good space to work in, and a good life. Now, the changes that happened, I highlighted them in my previous video. Qatar Airways removed the curfew for the cabin crew. They used to be supposed to sit in the accommodation from from 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. Now that has been removed. So for everybody that's working in Qatar currently, that's a very good change. And this was before the Josh Cahill, before the controversy with Josh Cahill. I just want to stress this. Another positive change was the curfew before flying, meaning 12 hours before the flight, you have to be inside the accommodation to get the rest you need. It's like a sort of a forced rest, if you think about it. But now that has been changed to 9 hours. So that's a positive change. Again, for the people working there, it's a positive change. And of course, for the people that will get hired in the next period of time, also a positive change, right? I also heard different things, like now you can have tattoos in Qatar Airways as a cabin crew, but of course not showing whilst in uniform. Before, any tattoos that you have anywhere, it's not allowed, right? So those are some of the strict things that Qatar has or used to have, and now they're slowly changing them. And that change has come with the new CEO. So the new CEO brought these changes, and I think it's a good thing. Now, the new CEO just came on board recently, right? Like a month ago or something. Hopefully, more positive changes will come. And maybe the Josh Cahill situation will actually highlight some things, and then the company will make some improvements, hopefully. I have friends that are Qatar Airways crew, and we're all a big community. Everybody that's a cabin crew, we are like kind of talking with each other sometimes. And I have friends there, and my brother used to work for Qatar Airways 4 years. Yeah, 3 or 4 years, yeah. And then he found something else, and now he's back home in Romania. He's working on his own thing. He has his own business, and he's doing very well, actually. Did he enjoy his time in Qatar? Overall, yes. That's what he said, because he's quite the introvert. He doesn't go out much. So for him, the restrictions were not as harsh as for somebody that's very outgoing. So also the way you are in Qatar Airways, like the way you feel the restrictions depends on your current lifestyle before joining the company. So it's very interesting, but nevertheless, as I said before, it's more of a strict company than the normal Gulf airlines are. I think the recent improvements are good, and hopefully it will continue on this path. What I can say is conversation is always good. And I also hope Josh Cahill will get unbanned, because that was not really fair, was it? Exactly. Now, thank you very much for watching. My hearts are always with the cabin crew of this airline, and not only. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're not subscribed yet. And up until next time, see you guys on the next one. Cheers.